Hello. In this video I want to talk about the basic syntax, the SQL commands for the database, and I expect that you already have downloaded the database or that you gave a donation and I sent you the database via email. And when you downloaded it like this, after some seconds you can pick your file, put it into an already prepared folder like this, somewhere on your file system, and you extract it like this, navigate to the release folder, and then open the FODB test GUI version 2 exe as administrator. Very important. And yeah, if we have come this far, you are already ready to fire your first SQLs. For example, this simple one, you have an as an first you have a keyword, the select keyword, then a space, then the columns separated by semicolon. That's the reason why the semicolon is forbidden as a sign for columns. And then the from clause, another space sign, and table name space, and then the where clause. And 1 equals 1 means everything. So if you click on fire here in the upper right of the GUI, this happens only at the beginning. You are getting all rows. The result is always given back as one result, so no pagination or only 50 rows. You always get what you are querying. And yeah, to come to the more simple select statement here, I put into the column clause system names. Every table is pre-configured. You have 20 tables. You can give these tables alias names, and every table has 38 columns, which are pre-named from C1 to C38. But of course you can rename these columns as well or give them alias names. If you put in this field here the internal table name, for example T1, you can here change the already given alias name, let's say castnump. Then you click on commit alias, and then you see here a little successful message. And to check this, we can check the column alias of 2 and back to 1. Yeah, now it's called castname. Of course you can do this via an SQL statement as well. For example, if you go into the release folder, you find a text file with syntax examples. You can also watch the most recent syntax on the website, on the simple documentation. Please have a look in the main menu of the web page. And yeah, if we go into this example file, we find the command rencol, rename column. And if we do like this, copy this and paste it here into the input SQL field, then 8, no, let's say 14, and clear that, fire, reload, and we see the alias name is set. Same you can do for the internal table names. If you put the internal table name here and rename the table to, let's say, simple casts, then it's renamed here, and the appropriate SQL command for that would be rename T1 to casts. And yeah, of course we not only can select things, we can delete things as well. For example, we can say delete table 1 where row greater or equal 2. And if we do so, we see something has happened. And to check it, we see the table is really empty, as expected. Even when I wrote the SQL a little bit wrong. I try to catch every wrong SQL if it cannot be executed or interpreted, and actually the database is written in a way that if the SQL cannot be interpreted, nothing will happen because the course will not be called. But you cannot be sure about that, so it's always wise to ensure that the syntax is correct. But in general, it should not happen anything if something was wrong in the syntax. Yes, we deleted it. Now we can insert it or something. Same here with capital or not capital writing. It doesn't matter if you write it in uppercase or in lowercase, but I actually handle that. But if you want to make it correct, you write it in uppercase like this. And don't forget the single spaces between every part of the statement. And yeah, you can insert here things like this, separated with semicolon again, is an example sentence with special signs. You can use every Latin jar letter that is possible, except the 3 forbidden ones, which is hashtag, semicolon, and single quote. Yeah, you may not use single quotes in column values as same as hashtags and semicolons. Except these 3, you can use every Latin character. Like this. And then you click Fire again. And if we look back, we see the insert. What we can do as well is we can select all rows, all columns with a star. But remember, if you call the database via command line, you have to write all, not star. Then you have to select all from table, and with a special clause. For example, your row less than is written with a K. K is derived from German kleiner. Equal or less than 20 now, and all columns. But in the GUI we use star. And we see the special signs as well. Yes, of course we can insert multiple values. We can bulk insert like this. Then important, after the table, a space, next line, and then like before, the value separated with semicolons. And then a final line, but only with and of statement. If we look back into the table with a select statement, we see all 4 rows. Yes, that's that. Back insert, of course, yeah, we can do a between. The between is pointing on the row number, so when we say between 3 and 5, we should get 3, 4 and 5. And important, between the between and the number, as well as between the numbers and the and, no space. Write it without a break between number 1 and number 2. And then you get this. At the moment, the GUI has a little performance bug, as you maybe noticed. Even simple queries took 1 or 2 seconds longer than actually necessary. I'm working on that, but if you want to have it faster or want to use the database in a programmatically way, then you can call it via command line. That's much faster. And if you want to have it really fast, you can call the course itself, but then you have to prepare the argument files. But I will talk about that in another video, where I go more into the advanced usage of the database. It's wise to use underscores instead of space signs. That was what underscores originally were intended. But same as the hashtag and the semicolon, in some points of the SQL interpretation, I use these spaces as separators, and that's why it's not good. I try to handle that with enclosing with hashtags, but yeah, it's not working. Let's say you cannot count on it. That's better to replace underscores, spaces with underscores. I mean, it's easy to write a little mapping function, replace functions that do this if you want to pull out values out of the database. And yeah, to say something again to the tables and the columns, there's only one data type in my database, and that is varchar. That is because over years of programming, I noticed that in most third-gen languages, the values are passed that often anyway. You really do not have a big performance benefit out of having numbers or integers or small ints inside the database, and the database is designed to handle huge amounts. That's why even simple queries take a little bit, but huge queries do not take much longer. For example, I only use data type long inside the course, except I knew I really am fine with data type int, but in general I use long or bigger for rows and stuff like that. And that's why even huge queries like picking out with a between 4,000 rows out of 2.5 million takes some seconds, and then the result is there, fully loaded. Yes. When call do we had? Yeah, we can count things. For example, we can count. I first insert something. So like this. So now we have some data, and yeah, we can count things, but not only the amount of rows, the because you can count it if you select the row num or the ID and count the entries, then you have your count. I thought another count would much more beneficial, and this count counts distinct values. For example, we can count C1, C2 from there. And we see which we have 4 times, which we have 1 times, and if we count only, let's say, C1, or C2, you see what I mean? This is how the count works. You can do a join, and the join works if data match. So you do not need foreign keys, which are possible as well. But yes, it's still in development, but please try it out. I would like to see your results. In general, it works in my tests like this, but we cannot do it now because the data inside the database are nonsense, and the result will be empty. But yes, that would be the command for doing a join. If you want to do set foreign keys that prevent insertion or updates, I have this as well as a constraint in the database, and you can create or delete it with these statements here. Create foreign key, then the name of the foreign key on table so and so, referencing the column so and so to table so and so, referencing column so and so, and that's it. Ja, also create fk, then the name, then the rest. You can read it yourself. Yeah, and if you lost the file, remember on the web page, on the simple documentation are example syntax examples as well. Yeah, that's that, and I think that was everything I wanted to tell. Yeah, update, insert, delete. You can say greater than, less than, between, and 1 equals 1, which is everything. Ah yeah, and you can of course use the alias name you gave inside the select statements. That was what I forgot. For example, like this, and let's say credit limit. Fire. Aha. Tja, they are empty. Well, let's take columns which have values. Would be wise. Aha, here we go. Did I wrote something wrong? That's strange. That shouldn't happen. I will fix this. Well, have a nice day.